All right, so I'm going to get started because we've got a lot to cover. I want to thank you, gentlemen and ladies, I see a couple, for being here today. This is valuable for us for communicating information. We are going to have a dear volunteer from the SoCal district who got up early and brought his equipment to come here to record for us, so we'll be able to provide you a recording, and also to those who are not able to be with us today. So we got a lot to cover. We've got some new things, some new initiatives we're going to be going over with you. And it was really kind of funny. We presented several of these things to the General Board this week, and we kept saying, are there any questions? And there'd a hand go up, yes, sir. Are you going to cover this with my secretary on Thursday? Yes, sir, we will. All right. So please know that your superintendent depends on you heavily, because they were all like, are you going to talk? Okay, then I don't have to listen today. That's kind of what I was hearing. So you're going to be the resident expert on this stuff. As your superintendent is going to depend on you for this. So I'm going to be courteous to your time, so let's get started. So the first thing I want to point you to, as I do every year, is the District Secretary's Handbook. If you have not downloaded this, I would encourage you to do so. It is available on UPCIministers.com under Resources for District. You would be wise to download this. Now, I am going to be updating it in the coming weeks with quite a bit of information that we're going to go over here today. So there are going to be some changes made to it. I'll try to send you a notice when the newest version is available, but I would encourage you, particularly if you're newer to this office, to download this and let this be your Bible a little bit in your role, because it covers a lot of things, and it actually, to be quite honest, it covers a lot of things that we get calls and questions about. I have not yet to this point answered anybody's question by going, have you looked at the handbook? But I do think that. So if I ever think it's so loud that it leaks out my mouth, please excuse me, but it is there for your use. So having said that, the first kind of major thing we want to show you today, and this is Catherine Groves. This is our Director of Research and Development, a brilliant young lady who's been with us now for about 2 or 3 years and is doing incredible work for our building. I can't say enough about the great work she does. She has been very instrumental in helping us develop a system, and I hope maybe you already viewed the video that we sent out. If not, you're going to want to. A system to be able to submit church status forms, church update forms, church no longer in fellowship forms digitally instead of having to print it out, fill it out, send it in. This is all submitted digitally, not dissimilar to the way applications are done in CAMA. You submit it, we get it, you get notified it's been approved, it goes in our system automatically. A great deal of it is automated. So she's been very instrumental in this. I'm going to turn the floor to her to be able to cover this with you. And again, there has been a training video sent out she'll probably reference, but we're going to demo for you here quickly today how we're going to be using these forms digitally going forward. All right, Catherine, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to point this down here and see if we can manage it.
Can you hear me okay? Nope.
Oh, we got all kinds of slack. There we go.
All right, can you hear me? Yes. Is this good? All right. So, hopefully you're familiar with the website wa.upci.org. You should have a login here that can be similar or different from your UPCI ministers. So if you have any trouble with your credentials, we can chat after this to make sure you can log in. But as a district secretary, that should be coded on your account, and you should have this tab, Churches, at the top of the page. Excuse me. If you click that, you'll see church record forms is the only option in this list. If you select that, you'll be taken to somewhat of a landing page. The training documentation that Brother Graham referenced is linked here. So if you click this link, it'll take you to the UPCI YouTube page where we've recorded a training video to walk you through each of these forms, as well as this will take you to a PDF that will walk through the process and address some frequently asked questions. So use these as a guide if you have any questions as you're getting familiar with this process, but I'm gonna do a quick walkthrough here for you today. So I'm an employee of UPCI headquarters, so my role is an admin. If you click this role, you will see district role. So that's the difference that on our views, but yours as a district secretary should say district role. If you're also a pastor, you will have the option to interact on this page as a pastor. As a district, you'll be able to submit these forms for any church in your district. As a pastor, you can submit a church update form for any churches where you were recorded as pastor. So as an admin, you'll see more information on my screen, but as a district secretary, you'll just see churches in your district. Hopefully the forms in this list are somewhat familiar to you. There are 3 forms that we use in church administration to update and maintain our church records. The first is in this list is the church no longer in fellowship form. This is the form that would be submitted for any church, self-governing, daughter work, or preaching point if it is no longer in fellowship with UPCI and we need to remove it from our records. The second form is a church status form. There would be 2 primary reasons you would want to use this form. One, you may have a preaching point that has progressed in status. It was a preaching point and now it's a daughter work, and we want to properly record that in our database. So if you're promoting a work or progressing a work, you would use the church status form. You would also use this for a new work, a new preaching point, a new daughter work, or a new self-governing work. And the last form here is a church update form. This would have different pieces of information on the church, the name of the church, the name of the pastor, the address and the phone number, those different pieces of communication. It also has language data on the church. This is something relatively new. We've started tracking in the last 3 years what languages or services offered at this church. This is very important. I don't know if we've communicated it to this group. That's actually linked on upci.org, the church locator. So if someone's in a city near you and they're looking for a Spanish church, they can search that by city. If we don't have the language data for your churches, they may not be showing up on the church locator as a Spanish speaking or French speaking or ASL translating church. So it's very important if you have different languages offered in your district. We want that data so we can provide it to constituents.
I want to jump in real quickly and just say this church update form is the one that any pastor can do for his own church. He can't access those other 2. But if you log in as pastor, you can get to that one. So if he's got a new phone number and he just wants to update us, he can do that. The good news about this system is if he updates his phone number with us, you're going to get an email. So you'll see the data that we get. That's the benefit of this, is it automatically communicates between your district and us.
There are 2 things or 3 things on this list that are not forms, but they're here because we believe they're similar in nature, and this would be a natural place to go and look for them. The district church list annual review. That's related to something called the August audit that we typically do in collaboration with NAM, where you look at all the churches in your district and you tell us if there's any information that is incorrect and needs to be updated. This preaching point renewal is related to a new policy change that I don't think I'll go into detail in this room.
Maybe not right now. We probably will.
We'll save that. And then review forms is basically a landing page where you can see all of the forms that have been submitted by your district that are pending approval from church administration. So quick summary, there are 3 forms here. You should be familiar with them. And then this review forms page will take you where you can view the status of these forms. We have some test accounts that we're going to play with today. Do you want to do an example?
Yeah,
for
please
each
do.
Of them?
Please
okay.
do, yeah.
And I'll clarify, on the district role in your district, it should be your district superintendent, you as a district secretary, and if you have a district administrator, all 3 of you will have the district role to access all 3 of these forms for any church in your district. NAM directors will have access to the church status form and the church update form, but do not have access to the church no longer in fellowship. If any of these forms are submitted, all of you are notified via email when it's submitted, and similarly, when it's been approved and processed by church administration, all of you are also notified via email. So you can look at the status in this page, and we'll also be sending you a lot of emails to keep you updated. So without further ado, let's jump in here and look at a church no longer in fellowship form. So by default, this church no longer in fellowship form assumes it's a church that's active. So what you're going to see is a list of all of the churches in the database. We're going to find the church that we're looking for today. So there's a couple different ways we could do that. I could search the name of the church if I know that information. I could look for a location, or I could search by the pastor name.
Let's be clear. When she says you'll see all the churches in your district.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll see the churches only in your district. You can't shut one down in another district. I mean, you're very powerful, but you can't do that.
Not yet, at least. So the test accounts I'm looking for should be in Provo, Utah. And so let's look at this test account, the test daughter work in Provo, Utah. The pastor is John Smith in the Rocky Mountain District. So the way I indicate that this is the church I want to submit the form for, see these blue hyperlinks? Whenever you click that, it will open the form for this church record. So now I see the information that UPCI has on this work. It's daughter work. It's not affiliated. I need to indicate what happened and why this church has left. It's a daughter work, so there may not be a lot of information, but just for the sake of this exercise, let's say that this daughter work is no longer in existence. And the reason that it's no longer in existence is we didn't have a transition plan. The person leading this daughter work is no longer in the state, and so we need we need to close this work because no one's available to continue the daughter work. And this comment box is very helpful to our church administration staff. I also believe it will be helpful to you as a district as you have multiple people who can view these forms. If you leave a comment and another person in your district goes and look at it, hopefully it's specific enough to keep everyone on the same page without having to fire multiple emails on top of this process. So I'm going to leave a comment that this daughter work needs to be closed, and I'll click save. So that was step 1 at the top of the page. I didn't introduce this, but at the top you'll see step 1 of however many steps there are. Just to make sure we get to the end of the process, the button that we're looking for is this mark ready for review. That's going to be the same on all of the forms that we do. If you just click save, that's just saving the information. You can come back, or someone else in your district can come back and continue to edit. Maybe you started this form and you weren't sure about the reason it closed and you want to go back and get some information, or you want to make a phone call before you send it off. When you click save, it's not actually sent to our office. Once you mark this ready for review, that's what's going to indicate to our office that we need to go in and process the data. So I'll click mark ready for review. Okay, and now it may not be obvious, but we have changed pages. What we're looking at now is that review forms page where I see all of the forms that are pending in my district.
Let me pause just a minute. When she did that, when she clicked ready for review, the emails went out. Superintendent got an email, you would have gotten one sent back to you. Everybody in the loop is notified that you've just submitted this form to close it. So that just is to keep everybody on the same page of what happened.
Thank you. And so I went back to the home page because I'll show you another way to navigate here. So your role will be district, but you should be able to go to this review forms page. And then you should see all of the forms that are pending in action.
In your district.
In your district, yeah. Thank you.
That's all right.
And then we're going to come back here. So I can see the forms are pending. I can see that it was submitted on October 3rd at 11:11. If this was done in error, I can, as a district, I can go in and remove this request if it was an accident. And if I want to view the form, again, you can just click the link here. You can see at the top this was added by myself. If you're interacting on the page, it would be your name here. And again, all the information is here. It's already been submitted, so I click back. So that's how you would submit a Church No Longer in Fellowship form. No more emails and PDFs and papers going back and forth. You just click the proper account and submit those fields.
Hey. And so then on our end, of course, our church administration staff will get it, they'll process it. When they process it on our end, again, you'll get an email telling you it's done, and it'll disappear from your queue, correct? When you go back and look at review forms, it won't be there anymore because it's done at that point. So it's similar to CAMA in that regard. You have that queue you can look at to see the status of things, same idea here.
All right, I'll show you a church update form next. So the way I do that is just select the form that I want to submit. Again, a church update form is going to assume that I'm working with a church that already exists. In this case, I want to use the autonomous work self-governing church in Provo. So I'm going to click the account number here to indicate this form. Now at the top of the page, I see there are 3 steps that I need to be mindful of as I go through this form before I get to that mark ready for review. At the top, it's going to show you how this church currently is displayed in the UPCI directory. This is also consistent with what people will see on the church locator on upci.org. So if anything here is not correct, we want this information to be corrected because we're publishing it in the book and online. The fields that you can update here is the name of the church. So let's say we want this to be the Test Apostolic Church. You cannot change the status here. That is done on the church status form. So the status is going to stay the same, but it's visible here. Let's say now we have a different mailing and physical address. See, this box is checked. It's going to indicate they're the same. If I uncheck that box, maybe we have a new building. Let's go to 123 Street, also in Provo. So that's how you would indicate if a church has a separate physical address from a mailing address. You can uncheck that box and you'll see 2 fields, and we're going to give them a phone number. This language field is what I was referencing earlier, so the way you would view all the languages is just by scrolling here. This church, it indicated just an English speaking, but let's say we also have a Spanish translation. In the comment box, there were a couple of things I changed, so I'll make a note. Let's say there's a new address, added Spanish translation, and new phone number. Very exciting. I'll click the green button here. No, don't need to save that. The green button, now it's updated this page. There was a refresh, and you can see the directory listing here is different. The red text is the old information that we started with, the original listing before this form was indicated. So the black line above it is this new updated information, right? And if I go side by side, I can see the Test Apostolic Church. That's what we added here. We added a physical address, 123 Street. We added a phone number. So those are new pieces of information that were added. And if you scroll down and look at the form, it's going to highlight it here for you. This was changed, and this was changed. Where you see the red text indicates we wrote over some old information. Now the comment box is the same. Now you can see the next step. If I need to make a pastoral change on the church update form, it's not something you would change right here on this blue box, but that's step 2. Do you want me to do a pastoral change?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can, sure.
While we're all here, let's say that Brother Graham is also working in this church. I'm gonna
Quite a commute to Utah, but
maybe it's a Zoom Bible study we're working on. So the way that I would do that is by searching, and you can see it gives you a prompt here. Search last name, comma, first name, and you should get enough information from that list to indicate which is the proper account. This is also important because at this point I will indicate what their relationship with this church is. And so if he's the senior pastor, if he's an emeritus pastor, let's select him as the emeritus pastor of this autonomous work in Provo, Utah. So if I click, I've entered his name, I can see that's correct. I've selected his position, and I can add him here. If I needed to remove a pastor, you would also do that in this section. If there's a pastoral change, you could remove the existing pastor by clicking this button and then searching for the new pastoral record and adding the proper codes here. Well, that's step 2. The last step is to mark this as ready for review. You do not have this green button. That is the button that church administration will process records with.
Yeah, you won't see
this
that.
blue button that says to mark ready for review for church administration. Again, we've submitted that, so now what I'm going to see is this form that is now pending. I know this page because it says review here. That's and yours will not say admin IT. It should have your district there. But this review page is going to indicate the form that is pending for this account number. So again, I can see October 3rd at 11:15 it was submitted. If it was done in error, you as a district can remove it. I can see that it's waiting on church administration.ca, and if I wanted to go back into the form and look at it again, I could click that link here.
okay,
How
makes
are we
sense.
doing?
Yes, sir.
I may have missed it, but on the church update form, did it populate for the pastoral position update after you submit changes in the first section?
Yes, so the first step is like those blocks of information, those colored columns.
Submit changes, then it populates.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. So just to clarify, you're only going to see step 1 when you open this form. Once you click that green submit changes, then you see step 2, and you have the option to change those pastor records.
And the church update or church status form, which is the one you'd use, of course, to start a new work, to change the status one. They all work on a similar pattern. It's not going to be any different. You fill it out, you save it, then you submit it, and you have it in your queue to observe. Yeah, you had a question.
Yes, 2 things. Number 1, thank you for taking John Smith back out of Utah and putting him back at Rare.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, he was a hero yesterday.
Appreciate that. If our local pastors have access to UPCI ministers, which they should, they also can do this exact same thing.
No. No, because they're not coded as a district official. They can't get to, they can get to the church update form.
That's what I mean, like what we just did.
Yes.
Church update piece.
Correct.
So one piece would be for us to encourage them to go.
Absolutely,
their own-
absolutely, yes. Under churches, it'll say, it'll just have that one is the only way they can get to, but yes, they can access this online and submit their own things. And again, emails go to you when it happens, so you'll get the same information they submit to us.
Their credentials for UPCI ministers is the same for the WA.
Not necessarily. That's the same thing. We're working toward that. But it's the same way they do right now when they have to log in to get a digital fellowship card, or they log in to work on an application. It is their primary email address on their account at headquarters. Now, some guys don't know what that was because they set it up years ago. It's not even an email address they use anymore. And so, or they don't know what the password is, so they have to reset their password for that email. If a guy says, I don't know what email that was, they can call our offices. We can look and tell them what it was. If it's one they no longer have access to, we can change it to whatever they want it to be. So they can do that. Call us and say, hey, I can't get on WA. We can walk them through it. But no, it's not automatically the same one. We are working on an integrated login thing. We're upgrading from Studio Enterprise to something called Studio Enterprise Online. It's going to have a whole new face for the UPCI Ministers website, and an integrated login for all this is coming, but it's not there yet.
It feels like our logins are the same.
Many are.
Okay.
Many are. It's not automatically different, but it's not automatically the same either.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
On my list of our district churches, I don't see one, but if I do a search, I find them. Is there a reason for that?
What page are you looking at? Like, if you,
Select the church.
it's only gonna list, I think, like 20 churches on the length of the page. So if it's not in the top 20, you may need to search to shorten the list.
It's just the scrolling of the page. It only posts so many on the.
Page 2.
Is there not a page 2 link at the bottom of it? Okay,
I
I don't think,
we
apparently,
have
apparently there's
pages
page and
built
8,
into
so
it
just the
yet.
search is the.
We can, I would make that request, but there's I should see all 5,000 churches on this page, because I see all churches. But it's only gonna give you like the top 20, 25, so you just need a quick filter. We can put a request in to add.
Make a note,
pages.
see if we can page and edit. I mean, but the search is pretty functional. Jill, let me.
I do have, because I've had this come up 4 or 5 times, that the only way to get to page 2, for some reason we don't have, because it's so new, we don't have a button to get to the next page. I do have a ticket into IT.
Okay.
To request that, so hopefully, but yeah, right now.
For now, the search is your way to find
The
it.
problem we found is that sometimes we have a different church name than you do, so it's hard to find.
Well, you can find it by the city, though. They should.
Unless the church has changed cities.
Well, we can't.
But that, yeah, that's probably rare. One thing that I was going to mention, because this will come up, we often get a church start, and at the same time, you're licensing a minister, all in the same district conference or something. So if you go to fill out a church, you're starting a church, but you can't.
Great point.
Find the pastor's not there, you're going to have to wait until.
Yeah.
he's licensed.
So let's think through that. You have an independent church that comes into fellowship. You license this guy that brings that church in, and you jump over here and say, okay, I want to start this church in our system. So you do a church status form to create a new record for this church, and then you go down to pick the pastor. Well, you just licensed him. It's not in our system yet. It hasn't been approved and gone through. You're not going to find him yet. So you may just have to leave it without a pastor, at least temporarily, for a little while until we process the license application. Then you'll be able to go in and select him as a pastor, or you wait and do them both at once. But that's a great point, Joe. You may not find the pastor if it all came in at the same time. Brother Jones?
Yeah, currently, we have a list of the 20, but we can't search for any other church. We can't find any other church through searching within our list.
Okay,
Really? Because she finds something that she did just
can you
then.
give me an example?
Well, like she found Provo is not on that top 20.
Yeah, I'm searching by cities, by pastor names, by
Okay,
church names.
we can follow up.
We have the same problem.
Really?
Trying to find one of our churches in Iowa.
That's weird because it's working for her.
For me, but
Okay,
I couldn't find it.
I'm sorry about that.
So something on the admin role is letting us find stuff they're not finding.
We can
Okay,
demo
thank
it
you. I
with your
appreciate it, because
credentials.
obviously we're doing this at the higher level. It works for her because she just found Provo, which would have been on page 412, and it located it immediately. So that's very odd. Okay, thank you. I'm glad to know that. Yes, sir.
What I'm saying is you back out of it, take the percentage off of it,
Oh, did you try that? Did you take that?
I tried both.
You took the wild card out?
Yeah, we ended up getting it done, but I couldn't find it.
Take back out a percentage and put the name in.
Boy, that's strange because it's working up here.
It could be that an admin role has a different procedure
Capacity.
than a district role, so we can test with a district credential and make sure it's not.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the question I have, in the church update form, so we have a church that just recently, it's without a pastor. How would I change that? Just remove pastor? Go through the first step, I'm not changing anything.
Don't save anything there.
Church, but go
Correct.
to the second step and just
Correct.
remove pastor?
Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
A couple things, on the add pastor list, does that search just ministers within the district? Okay.
No. It'll search ministers in the whole fellowship, right?
Off the top of my head, I'm actually not sure.
Oh,
Either way.
no, it did because it found me and it found a guy in Iowa. No, it searched the whole.
We had an incoming minister.
Absolutely.
that has a
It
chance.
searched the whole fellowship, not just yours.
The second note, if we're adding to the list, could we just do like an account number search on the top of that?
Sure, yeah, account number is the most precise way to find a record. Well, I said that and then it doesn't show here. I did.
I saw it on the status form, I think, but not.
It looks like the update form doesn't have that field.
Let's put that in. We need to add that.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, great. That's good info. Yes.
So I did find the church under search, but then I pick it and I get just red error. Does that mean anything?
Oh, no.
Means your computer's corrupted, my brother. It's just, I don't know because we haven't observed that.
I can troubleshoot with you after this session to make sure.
Yeah, please see her when we're done here because if we can get a better look at it. Yeah, no,
Looks like it's on the review page, so if you wanted to say, for that daughter work that I submitted, if I wanted to search the account number here.
Don't put a space.
I think that's right. So it looks like right now the only place we have the account number search is on the review page if you want to see a form that was submitted, but it makes sense we would add that.
Yeah, we'll add that
list.
to the individual forms. That's a great catch. Okay? I want to, boy, we got to hurry. We spent half our time. I wanted to cover real quickly something the General Board has done. The General Board passed a policy stating this. They did this in March. If you have a preaching point in your district that has not advanced to a daughter work within 2 years, the district has to affirmatively tell us they want it to remain a preaching point. If you don't, it's going to close down. Okay? So in October and in March, we're going to be sending you a prompt to look at your list of preaching points that are, it will filter it. These are preaching points in your district that are more than 2 years old. What do you want us to do with this? And she's going to show you this right here. So that was what was on that. Can you go back out to that main page so we can see? Okay, so right here under forms, preaching point renewal. This is where you're going to go. We're going to prompt you to do this twice a year in March and in October. When she clicks on that, you're going to get this page. It's going to bring up all the preaching points in your district that are more than 2 years old. You're going to go down each one, and it's very simple. Yes, keep it open. No, close it, or upgrade the status to a daughter work. If you click on that upgrade status to a daughter work, it's going to take you, am I not correct, to the form to do so. But if you tell us yes, close it, no, keep it open, you tell us. But at the end of that month, any that you have not responded to, we're going to close. If you don't affirmatively tell us to, and this is by General Board action, if you don't affirmatively tell us to keep it open, we're going to shut those preaching points down if they're more than 2 years old. This is going to happen twice a year. You're going to be asked to go through them. Now, think about it, it's not a big deal. It's only preaching points in your district that are more than 2 years old. So how many is that going to be? It's going to be a handful, and you just go through and tell us, keep it open, close it, or this one's moving to a daughter work. You click on the form, fill that out, submit the church status form to upgrade it. Okay? So this is new. We're going to start it immediately when we get home because obviously this is October. We're going to be a little patient on this first one because all of your fellow secretaries are not here. So we're going to be a little patient as far as the end of the month, shutting them down. We're going to give a little extra time this time. But in general, end of March, end of October, if you have not told us, yes, keep that open, we're going to infer you want it shut down. Okay? So we're going to be cleaning up the preaching point records. I'm sorry?
It come out 1st of October, 1st of March, to be done by...
By the end of the month. You've got 1 month to do it, each of those cycles. Yes, sir?
So we will not have to submit an update form, you automatically.
We will close it. If you tell us to close it, you don't have to submit a church no longer fellowship form for that preaching point. We just close it.
But we are asking you to complete a church status form if it's progressed.
If it's progressing. If it's going to daughter work, you'll have to fill something out. But if you're just saying close it, we're not going to make you fill out a church no longer fellowship form for each of them. This is kind of in lieu of that. So this is to prevent a situation where we are falsely inflating data because your church has all kinds of preaching points listed for it that never started. You know, guy in a camp meeting said, yeah, I'm going to start one. And we put it in, we got it down, and it never happened. And we've been 2 years and he hadn't done anything with it yet. We need to clean it up. Okay, so this was actually a request from NAM, made this request to the General Board. General Board authorized it. And so this is going into effect. All right? Is that everything?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do a whirlwind. Yes.
You may have addressed this.
Probably.
I think two churches, September 18th, using this system. Got confirmations back, but it's not actually updated.
Jill, do you know, has Molly been getting these? He submitted a couple that have been processed on our end. Do you know?
September 18th.
Make a note, Jill, and check on that with Molly when we get back. They should have been.
So I assume it's a manual update process, approval process.
You have to go in and click it. It grabs the data off the form, imports it into our database. The two talk together. But yes, it is on our, we have to physically go in and click it.
I mean, I know y'all were getting ready to show.
And that may have very well been the problem, but we will check with Molly on this back at the office. Okay, I got a buzz. I want to take you to something on give.upci.org. So give.upci.org, if you haven't seen it, is the new giving page for the UPCI, but this is not for districts per se. This is just for anybody to go on there who wants to give money to NAM, wants to give money to global missions. However, we have created something on this page that is hidden. Nobody's going to see it. There's not going to be a link for it. You're going to need the URL. And so it is give.upci.org/category/DISTOFF. /category/DISTOFF. Now, you guys all trying it right now aren't going to have any luck with this, because to do anything on this page, you have to have a district login onto the giving page, and you can't set that up for yourself. There's reasons for that internally in our accounting. But what you're going to be able to do, and I think you're going to cheer and hoop and holler, you no longer have to mail us checks for 60% of your Move the Mission offering. You no longer have to mail us checks for 50% of your Mother's Memorial offering. Once you're set up to log in, you can go to this page and you just scroll down and pick the offering you want. Click on Move the Mission. You want to send in your Move the Mission offering. You put in the offering amount. The account information will show up there. You put in your ACH information, bank account, routing number, click the button, and we get it. And there's no mailing checks anymore. Hoop holler, okay?
Effective when?
This is going to be effective very soon. But to get it, you have to contact our IT. You want to send an email to ask@upci.org. Ask@upci.org, and merely say, I need login credentials to give district departmental offerings on the giving website. Our IT department will set your district up with login credentials for that site on a district account, because on the back end of it, we have to link your district account with our accounting to be sure the money gets to the right place and the credit goes to the right place. Once you have that, IT will email you. Here's how you log in. Here's your password. You can reset your password to whatever you want. But those login credentials will work for your district. You can share those login credentials with your treasurer, with your administrator, whoever you want. But whoever you give that to can log in and give offerings from your district straight to headquarters. This is up and running. It's functional now. So as soon as you get your login credentials from IT, you can go to that thing with, again, upci.give or give.upci.org/category/DISTOFF, DISTOFF for district offering. You can do it immediately. And that money will come into our account, so no more mailing checks. Last year, we had a check sent from a district for over $100,000 that got lost in the mail and was roaming around. They sent another one. The mail did something with it. This solves all that. You don't have to do this. There is a fee associated with it, of course, on our end. There may be one on your end, but fees for ACH transfers are much lower than the fees for wire transfers. Wire transfers are pretty expensive. ACH transfers are not so much, so this is a way for you to be able to transfer the funds almost immediately. U.S. districts only. Canadian districts cannot send those offerings directly to us. Those have to be routed through the Canadian Financial Office, of course. So I'm sorry for any of you from Canada, we can't offer this to you because of the joint venture rules. The money can't go that way. Yes, sir.
So will you have a rejection button on this for our Canadian?
We won't give the Canadians a login for it.
Okay, good.
You can't get to it. Yeah. Okay. The site is hidden. There will be a link on the Digital District Offering Report that your departmental leader fills out for each offering. So remember how you fill out the information for every church's offering. There is going to be a link on that to go here, but again, you'll have to have district login credentials to utilize it. Okay. So contact your IT, ask@upci.org to get login credentials, and then use that website. Again, there will never be a menu option to get to this site. You're either going to need to bookmark it or remember that that URL. And again, we'll be sending this out to you. So we're not going to do a thing where somebody just on that website could stumble along and find it. Again, they couldn't use it without the login credentials. Just for clarity, it's limited to y'all only. Okay, this is a request. This is nothing we can do. This is a request that comes from Global Missions. As you know, missionaries who deputize in your district, they get offerings, they tithe on those offerings to your district Global Missions department, okay? That means they're writing a check, they're mailing it to your Global Missions director. Those checks sometimes can reside on a desk for quite some time. Months sometimes before they get deposited. That missionary can't balance his account because there's this check out there. Well, he can balance it, but he's got this outstanding check, and it's just awkward. They've made a request, and many districts have done this already. If you have an online giving page for your district where people can give to camp meeting, they can pay ministerial tithes, whatever, they're asking if you would consider just doing one more option on the drop-down menu that says missionary booking fees. And that is what they call it. They don't call it missionary tithes. It's missionary booking fees, and there's legal reasons for that. They're asking if you would consider adding that as a giving category on your district website. Many have already done this. What that means, when that missionary finishes deputizing in your district, he can go right then, pay it, boom, it's there. So they're making that request. Many districts have done it. It really helps our missionaries. I mentioned this in the general board Tuesday. Was that when you were there? Monday. Tuesday. By Wednesday, one of our district superintendents came to me and said, we've already set this up. I called my secretary and it's already done. It's really not complicated, and it really helps our missionaries. So thank you for any of you who would consider doing that. I want to show you another thing that has been created online. This is the general board was a directive. This came from the Creative Planning Committee. The Creative Planning Committee made a presentation to the General Board. General Board told us to do this, and that is this. An opportunities, it disappeared. You got a, oh, well, there we go. An opportunities bulletin board. This is a place where pastors can post open positions and district officials can post open churches. Now, nobody can get to this page. It's on wa.upci.org, so nobody can get to this page except credentialed ministers. So it's not like somebody in your church could just go out there and say, hey, they're looking for a youth pastor in Oklahoma. And no, only credentialed ministers. So what happens when they go to this page, and again, it will be off of the wa.upci.site. It will be menu driven. Any minister can get to it. They're going to get this page that makes them acknowledge this ethics statement that says, I will not contact a pastor or church about an open position without first discussing the matter with my pastor and securing his or her blessing to do so. I will not contact any individual about an open position in my church without first contacting his or her pastor or secure permission to do so. Now, I realize they can lie through their teeth and do it anyway, but at least we make them acknowledge this is what's expected. They will see this acknowledgement once a day. So once they acknowledge it, it'll go away for the rest of that day, but the next day it'll be back again that they have to acknowledge this. So if you'll click on the acknowledge and proceed, it depends on the role you have. So if you'll scroll down, is that all we got? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, okay, no, you can see both. Down at the bottom, or at the top, the blue ones say view open churches and view open positions. If she clicks on view open churches, you're going to see exactly that. All the churches that any district has posted as open, you can go down and scroll through them. You can see where they're at, the district, the date it was put up. You can click on the view details and see the city size, whatever information the district chose to put in there. You can put in the city size, the year it's established, the typical attendance, what's the facility. You can put in as much information as the district as you want to, and people can view that. Now, if it's your district, you can remove it. Okay, so the ones from your district, you would have the power to remove. If we go back, or you can edit it, of course. If you go back, let's go back one more.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. There's a back thing. There you go.
Thank you.
That one is paginated, in case you notice. You can also view open positions. If she clicks on that, you're going to see looking for an office administrator, pastoral children's pastor. Now, pastors can post this. I'm looking for a maintenance director. I'm looking for a music director. They can post these things. And similarly, if he posted it, he can edit it or delete it. Okay? You can get to all these things. You can go back to the list. You can go back one more. The bottom ones, the green ones, are to post those. You can only post an open position if you're coded as a pastor. You can only post an open church if you have district authority. You go in, you post the information, it's there. Very straightforward, very intuitive, but that is going to be going live. We'll be sending that out on Brother Bernard's email. We'll be clearing out all this test data we put in, of course, but that is a new endeavor, and as a district, you can post open churches in there. Okay, and it has contact information about who the person should contact if they're interested. Any questions on that? It's pretty straightforward. This is something the General Board directed us to do. Yes?
Along with Brother Bernard's emails, are like an instructional that can walk through our pastors on how to post open positions and all that, or do we need to handle training in-house?
Let's put a note. We probably ought to record a little something. We'll work on a recording for that. It's pretty intuitive, you know, because you don't even see everything. Like if you're a pastor, you won't see post open churches. You won't even see that. So if you look at that and it says view, post, it probably can figure out that's where you click it. When you click it, it just brings up form you fill out and click submit. So it's pretty intuitive, but I get what I do understand what you're saying. It's safer. So we'll work on getting something recorded to make that clarity. Okay? Moving on. Gentlemen, my dear brothers in Christ, every district nominates a MAC nominee every year. We get calls occasionally, say, is this our year to nominate a MAC nominee from our district? Yes, I don't even have to look. Every district, every year, nominates a MAC nominee. The only qualification for that individual, ordained minister. That's all. We get calls all the time. Can he be on the district board? Well, what if he's on the general board? Doesn't matter. All the manual says he has to be ordained, and you do that every year, okay? It's important that you keep that straight. The only exception is a guy currently actively serving on the MAC cannot succeed himself. So it doesn't mean we nominated him last year, because nominating doesn't mean he got on the MAC. He only gets on the MAC if we elected him like we did yesterday. Okay? So you say, well, we nominated this guy last year, he can't do it again. Yeah, you can nominate him again unless he actually got elected at conference and is currently holding a MAC position. Then you can't nominate him. Does that make sense? But every year you do this. Now, similar in process, but different, is the new district formation committee nominees. You don't do that every year. Let me explain. In 2022, when this went live, every district had to nominate one because we were just starting. But some of you nominated him for a one-year term, some for 2, some for 3, some for 4. Those who nominated for 4 won't do it again until 2026. Those that nominated for 1 turned around and did it again in 23, but they won't do it again until 27. We had to stagger them to get them all off on this cycle. It caused confusion because people said, well, we did it in 22, we did it in 23, we must do it every year. No. You do it every 4 years once you get on the cycle. You say, well, how do we know if we do or we don't? Every year in January, we send emails to the districts that have to have that on their district conference agenda for this year. We also send emails to the executive board representative who will be at your district, so he knows which districts. For the coming year, it will be Northeast and Northwest regions. If your district is in the Northeast region or the Northwest region, you will need to add a new district formation committee nominee to your district conference agenda, and you will nominate that guy. Off the top of my head, I should have looked this up. Ordained preacher not on the district board, I think is what it says. Maybe it says not on the general board. I'm going off the top of my head right there. But again, Most of you won't. Northeast, Northwest will do that this coming year. We will notify you, and we will notify your executive board representative about that. And then once we get past 2026, I think it is, then everybody's on it. It's only every 4 years. And you say, well, I'm not going to think of that in 4 years. Correct. That's why we're going to remind you. Jill?
The MAC and this, both of this information you put on the election.
Yes.
The election form, I don't know if you said that.
Well, I haven't yet.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, that's fine. This is just like any other thing you elect. When you notify us on that electoral report form, that's on there. And you include this. We compile those names off all the different reports. We give a list to the general board. The general board selects from them 2 names that then go to the conference. Okay? But I just want to make that clear that you do MAC every year. You will do new district formation every 4 years, and we will notify you if your district is one that has to do it in any given year. Okay. I've made this appeal so many times. This is good. What is about to happen here is good for me because it helps me not miss pastoring, because you're talking to Mike and nobody listens. It's the same thing right now. I plead with you, I beg with you, please, 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 when a minister resigns, he hands you his license, he writes you a letter telling you he's going to resign, notify us immediately. I know your board has to deal with it. I know that. I know you have to have a board meeting. You have to act on his resignation. You have to send us a district board action report. It has to go on the executive board agenda. Totally get that. But all it takes is an email to us saying, Joe Blow, minister ID number so-and-so, has resigned. Our board will be dealing with this in 3 weeks, or our board will be dealing with this in March, whatever. Because what we do is we immediately set that minister's account to inactive status. That way, he doesn't still get billing statements. We get ugly phone calls. I resigned to my district 2 months ago. Why are you trying to get money from me? And all we can say is, your district never told us. We didn't know. Please send us an email and let us know. This also becomes very significant in situations if there is gross misconduct. Because then if we get contacted by the media, is so-and-so a minister? We look at our system, we can honestly say to them, no, he is not active with us because we've set his account to inactive. But if you haven't told us that and they call and they want a statement, is this guy an active minister? We look and he is, because we don't know he's resigned to you and you're innocent. I mean, you didn't mean anything. You're just, well, I'm waiting for our district board to act on it. We have to tell the media, yes, he's a currently licensed minister. Ew. Okay, please, 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 a simple email, 2 sentences, so-and-so resigned, we'll set it to inactive. Then, once your district board deals with it, you send us the district board action report, we process it, get on the executive board agenda, we tick off all the boxes to process it appropriately. But I'm pleading with you to please, please let us know. They will stop getting letters this way. All right, any questions on that? You would help us so much. Okay. Divorce files. I would say conservatively, less than 20% of the divorce files we get are complete. Conservatively. More than 80% of the time I'm contacting districts saying, you didn't submit the form of instruction for divorce and remarriage. You only submitted one letter that says this. So I want to reiterate it again. I want to go through it very quickly. Here's what you have to provide to us. We need the divorce decree. We need the personal testimony. We need the personal testimony of the applicant or the person who was divorced telling their story. It must be signed. That's one of the greatest things we get. The letter is not signed. We have to have 2 witness letters attesting to the misconduct of the former spouse. Adultery must be established if the guy is going to get permission to remarry. We have to have 2 witness letters attesting to the applicant or the spouse, whoever it was, having lived a life of integrity before, during, and after the divorce. Let me pause a minute and say this. That means the person writing the letter had to know them then. We get letters all the time that say, I met Joe Blow after he moved here after his divorce. Well, then you can't testify to whether or not he was good in his marriage and lived morally pure then. And it just defeats the purpose. So 2 letters from individuals who have personal knowledge. So the executive board this week kicked the file back to a district because the witness letter said this. He told me his wife had an affair. It's hearsay. We might as well just let the applicant himself write 3 letters. If all the witness letters say is, well, I had a conversation with him, this is what he told me happened, well, that's what he told us happened in his personal testimony. So really all we have is 3 letters from the applicant. Okay? So it has to be somebody who has some kind of personal observation. So again, this happens routinely. The guy, and it's horrible, he goes through this terrible situation, he has a divorce, he moves across the country, gets established, he finds a church, he meets, and that pastor writes a letter. He told me when he moved here that his wife had an affair and left him. Okay, I trust he's not lying, but that pastor doesn't have any personal knowledge. He's going to have letters. So somebody that knew him in this time, watched what happened, can personally testify, and he has to have 2 letters of people saying this man lived a life of integrity before, during, and after the divorce. And you can use that exact wording. I don't care if they paste it right out of the manual. He lived a life of integrity before, during, and after the divorce. That's the surest way to make sure you tick the box. Okay? But one more. And we have to have that form of instruction of divorce and remarriage that records your district board's vote, because the executive board has to know if that vote was unanimous by your district board or not. I am asking you, your district board should not approve a divorce file that doesn't have, if you don't have these things. Now I know you say, well, we looked him in the eyes, we talked to him, and we know what happened. I'm sure you do. But that file is going to get kicked back to you if that stuff is not in there. So please, 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 please check this. Make sure these boxes are ticked. You'll save me a lot of time, because I get these, they put them on my desk, I look through them, I make a list of what's missing, I call district superintendents. We don't have this, we don't have this, we don't have this. And they have to send it to us, because the executive board, well, here's what you have to keep in mind. You meet that man. You look in his face, you see his tears, you feel his spirit. The executive board is looking at documents. It's cold and clinical. We're not meeting him, we're not talking to him. We are just looking at documents. And if those documents are there, they're going to bounce this thing back. Again, this week we just sent one back because the letters just say this is what he told me happened, and that won't work. Okay? So I'm asking you to please, please, please work on making those as complete as any. If any of those are not present, please don't pass it on to us. Your board should not approve it. You should be making this kind of check that I'm making. It will save a lot of time on the back end. Here's another request that I've made before. I hope I can communicate it clearly. When you have an ordination application, I am asking you to please submit that to us to look at it before you have the ordination service. Now that used to be a pain when it was paper, but now it's so simple. So you meet a candidate in a board meeting in April, and you approve him for ordination. He's going to have his ordination service in July. Fine. Go ahead and submit it to us. We will look through it. We'll make sure everything's good. We'll make sure everything's there. We'll make sure that this guy wasn't previously licensed in a different district and you don't know it. We'll check it out. We'll do our work, and then we'll just bounce it back to you. I'll send it back. We do this a lot. Not everybody does it. I wish everybody would. I just send it back with a note saying, everything looks great. Thanks for submitting this for pre-approval. It's good to go. Please contact us once he actually participates in the ordination service. After your ordination service, you submit it again. We see the note in there that we've already looked it over. Boom, we send it back. It's done. Okay?
Clarify that for me, because when we're sending it to you, it comes down to and it says approved. So we hit the approved button.
You hit the approved button because you approved it.
Right.
I will send it back to the district with a note saying everything's good once he goes through the service, and then you click approve again, it'll come back to us again and we'll process it. Here's why. These are real scenarios. This is not hypothetical. You send it to us. If we approve it, if we were to issue it right then, what happens if between now and his ordination service, he doesn't go through the service?
Right.
We say, ordination is a spiritual event, not an administrative one. He is ordained when you lay hands on him, per Timothy. Well, we're not going to issue him a credential then until he actually goes through that. So we wind up having to hold it. But if we used to, with the paper ones, you would send it, we put it in this file, and we just held it with a note on it saying, send this in July. Well, this happens too. We would send it, and then the district would go, oh my goodness, he did something stupid. We never let him go through the service. Well, now we've sent him an ordination certificate because we didn't know he didn't go through the service. So with the digital, it becomes very simple. Send it to us, let us look it over, let us make sure everything's good. We'll send it back to you. Then once he actually goes through the service, you click it, send it to us, and we'll issue the credentials.
Can I make a suggestion there?
Sure.
Why can't you then put an additional button on ordained applications at the bottom of it that says, once this goes through it, that we can then hit that says has completed ordination?
You just click approve. That's all it takes. You can send it back to us a second time with the approve button. We can see the date of the service because that's in the form. Right. So when you send it again and we see we've already put the note in there saying we've pre-approved it, if we're past that date, we know we went through it.
Okay, I think you're going to have confusion there.
How?
Well,
we do this all the time.
Well, you're still sitting here to approve. You're going to approve twice in it. It's okay.
But we see the note in there that you approved it. Right. We looked it over and sent it back, and we can see the date the ordination service happened. When you approve it the second time, there's a place to put a blank. There's a blank there for you to type anything in you want. So if you wish to say he attended the service, that's fine. But if we get it after that ordination service date, we're going to know that's why you submitted it again. Okay. It works. We've done it numerous times. Yes, sir.
Do those applications stay out there until the district actually moves on it?
Yes.
So if I have a district board meeting 6 months from the time of the application, I don't have to worry about going?
Nope, stays there in your queue. Yeah, it doesn't go away. Unless you call us and say, please delete this one. Then, so if something happens, the guy does something haywire and you say, okay, we're not ordaining him, you simply contact us, say, this guy, you need to delete it, and we can delete it. But no, it stays there otherwise. Yes, sir. Yes?
Is there not just to piggyback on that question, is there not a time frame where you have to do something active on the file or the file will be
No.
During the completing the form?
When the applicant is first filling it out, there's a 30-day window that link is good.
Okay.
But once he gets it, just on the initial, when he's filling it out, yes. Yep. Once you have it, it's at your discretion. Yes, sir.
I guess the confusion our office has is when that application goes to you all and it comes back like it's approved, it's not for sure that all the paperwork's there.
It doesn't say approved when it comes back if we send it back to you. It doesn't say approved. And this is my next point that actually is in my notes. The application activity tab will have notes. When we send it back, and it won't come back as approved. You won't see it as approved. You'll see that we've returned it to the district, and there'll be a note in there that says, we've reviewed it, everything looks good. Once he participates in the ordination service, please let us know.
I'm not talking about ordination. I'm talking about any applicant goes, superintendent and I both are not for sure when that application comes back, that it's still missing papers, in other words.
It's in the application activities tab. Are you familiar with that tab? There will be notes in there every time that says, here's what we're looking for. Nyla sends it back saying he didn't fill out an insurance beneficiary form, or we don't have the Bible College report form, or there's no photo attached. The notes of what's missing is always in the activities tab. So I would, that's actually, it's funny, I've got a thing in here about the activities tab because we have that happen. We send it back with a note saying, hey, he didn't submit an insurance beneficiary form, and the next day we get it submitted again, there's still no insurance beneficiary form because nobody looked at what we sent it back for. That information is in that activities tab that will tell you exactly why it landed back in your queue. So please, please, please check that tab. It will tell you what we're looking for. I'm a little ahead of myself. Let me go through this. Back to this thing with ordination, we just literally had a situation where because it was not sent to us to pre-approve, we got it only after the ordination service was held. So there's no reason for us, we are ready to approve it if all is good. We get to looking at it and we find out this guy had previously been licensed in another district. That's where he left. He can't come to your district, and nobody knew it because we didn't have the opportunity to look at it. We had another one where the guy went through the ordination service, so they laid hands on him, prayed over him, sent us the thing, and we find out this guy has already moved to another district and started a church without permission. Nobody knew it. So these are the kind, and that gets awkward, these are the kind of things we can avoid if you'll submit it to us, let us look it over, we'll send it back, we'll put the note in the activities tab saying we've looked it over, everything's good, please let us know once he participates in the service. Just merely hit the approve again, send it in, you can put a note in there, he attended the service, and then we'll issue it immediately. But it saves us, we catch these things before they go through the service.
Is this the time when there's that little
red flag that pops up that says errors, it'll say one.
No, the errors are if the applicant puts something wrong on his application. He says he believes in divine flesh, or he says he believes in preterism, or he...
Doesn't flag if there's a missing form.
No. We do that in the activities. I just hit his mic. We do that in the activities tab. We'll send it back with a note saying, here's what's missing. Yeah, you had something?
They have to upload something, but we don't know the quality of the attachment. So they could, they could upload a blank form, so our office has to review it and make sure the form is completed, signed.
Yeah, if they can't go past some things without uploading particular documents. Here's another, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me stay in order so I can stay on my slides. Transfers to the UPCI from an associated or affiliated UPCI work around the world. Somebody moves to your district from the UPC of Venezuela, and they tell you, hey, I was credentialed in Venezuela. The manual, there's a General Board policy, it makes it very clear they must, this is not an option, they must submit a letter from either their national superintendent or their national board stating that they left there in good standing. That is a requirement. Here's what doesn't work. Here's a copy of my fellowship card from Venezuela. Okay, great, but did you have an affair and you left the country and you still got the fellowship card in your pocket? So the card doesn't work. Just like a guy in your district might really royally mess up his life, but he never gave you his physical card, he still got it. That doesn't mean he left in good standing. He must have a letter from his national superintendent or his national board stating that he left there in good standing. I would suggest we don't mandate this. I think it's only smart for your district to do the same thing if a guy is applying to come to you from the ALJC or he's applying to come from the PAW. We don't require it, but on the district level in Missouri, we used to. You got to bring us things saying you left there in good standing. Why are you leaving? Okay, so that's, while we don't require it, I would strongly encourage that. Next, district elections reporting form, that form that you get after district conferences to fill out. Please include ministerial ID numbers on this. We have all kinds of people with the same name. Names are spelled wrong. Please, it is imperative, crucial, vital, required, essential, urgent, necessary, and obligatory. Okay, I've exhausted Roger's at this point, but you get the point. Ministerial ID numbers are vital in everything we do. The good news is you can always get to them. On the UPCIministers.com page, as a district official, there's a minister status report, and it will print out every minister in your district with all their ID numbers. So finding their ID number is really very simple. This form, if you'll go back one again, that form, Molly sends this to you from our offices, and it is pre-populated with the office holders currently as we have them with their ID numbers. We fill out everything we can for you. What you can't do for us, please, gentlemen, please, do not just write across the top of it, nothing changed, and send it back. And here's why. Here's why. While nothing may have changed at your district conference in that service, okay, I get that. However, some guy resigns in mid-year and you never told us. Some guys resign. I know it's a little bit of a headache, but we try so hard and the problem is if we don't have accurate information, the front of the directory is going to print wrong and then we get ugly phone calls. I'm the new assistant bulletin board director for the campground. Why didn't I get them? You know, you have to let us know. And I also want to explain something. Over there where it says former office holder, what happens is down toward the bottom, I think, can you scroll down in here? Is that it? So you see where we have district honorary presbyters. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, I think we've got 3 for district honorary presbyters. And you've got 4. Sometimes what somebody will do is they'll go over to the former office holder and they'll write his name over there, knowing what you mean, but for us that means he's not that anymore. So if you're going to put information in that other column, please put a note beside it saying using this as an extra blank or something, or he's still, because we have removed people before because they were written over in that former office holder. We've taken them out of something and then, no, I just put it over there because I ran out of blanks. I get it. Photocopy the thing and do a second sheet if you want to. But please just be clear with us. We want to do the best we can with this and not insult anybody. I do want to remind you, and I'll get to you to give me 1 second. I do want to remind you, if a new district superintendent is elected, he takes office in 30 days. All other office holders elected in your district conference take office immediately. Brother Blackburn.
Is there plans to make this an online form?
We're heading that way. We're heading that way. It is already like a fillable PDF, but we're heading that way, yes.
That was my point.
Yes, priority-wise, because these others are used all year long, we started with them, but that is on our radar, absolutely.
Graham,
Sir?
is there any discussion about changing the transition point from one secretary to the other to match the superintendent?
That would require a conference resolution. That's in the manual. So we can't just change it.
I understand.
Yeah, so I've never heard anybody suggest it. You're talking about like a 30-day. I mean, in the practical world, there's time involved.
It seems to be more complicated to transition from secretary to secretary.
Don't disagree because of all the accounts and the,
Yes.
absolutely.
So I need to write a resolution.
If you want it to say that he stays in office 30 days, yes. Because right now, we don't have that luxury.
All right.
So there you go. Watch, the resolution committee already is drumming up work for next year.
I think our district policy states that. Is that a conflict?
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do it. Your district can't have something that conflicts with the manual. Yeah. I personally think it would be very smart, and I think it would pass because, like you said, it makes more sense, really, for the secretary than the superintendent. I think both make sense, but it really makes more sense on that side. It's just the manual doesn't allow that. Okay, I want to go through some stuff with CAMA. We're already past our closing time. If you got to leave, I understand. You won't insult me. But let me go through some stuff with the licensing here very quickly. Okay, I want you to think about licensing. Nothing has changed in terms of the pathway. A pastor, think about the old paper days, okay? Pastor got an application, gave it to the applicant filled it out, gave it back to his pastor gave it to the district gives it to us. Same thing. It's just all done digitally now. It is the same pathway. Think of it in this terms. In the same way that we could not physically handle that piece of paper until you sent it to us, we don't mess with the applications until they're submitted to us. I can see them in the queue, and yeah, I can open up and see, but we don't touch them. We don't deal with them until you send them to us. Because occasionally we get this thing that'll say, well, have you looked this over? No, we haven't. We got 800 of these in the queue at any given time. We're not looking them over until you submit them to us. Yes?
I was just going to refer to that because there have been quite a few comments along the way that, well, the headquarters is just reviewing everything along the way as we do this, taking it out of the hands of the district.
No, we can't. I mean, practically we can't. There's literally, as of this morning, there were 807 at some point of development. We don't look at them until we get them. Yeah. Now, can I? Oh, yeah, I can. We don't do that. Lord, no. No, we can't even start to. We look at them when they're submitted to us. That's when we start engaging with them. I want to make this request. I hope I can say this clearly. Because we get so many, particularly during district conference season, because all your districts are having board meetings, okay, so we get it bombarded then. I think we process, we got them and processed 196 applications in June, okay, so it's very intense. My point of that is this: as we approach an executive board meeting, okay, if you have an application you're submitting that has a divorce file attached to it, you would be smart to shoot an email to me saying, hey, we just submitted 15 applications. Joe Blow's application has a divorce. We'd love to get that through on the executive board agenda, because we will find that one and process it more quickly if we know there's one pending. Because the one without a divorce file can wait. If we don't get it done before the executive board and it waits till the next week, that's fine. But if there's a divorce file attached to one and you really need us to get it through, please alert us. We had one a while back where we just, in the crush, we didn't see it. We didn't know there was something there that needed to be dealt with, and we didn't process it till the week after the executive board, which meant it had to wait till the next executive board meeting, and we got a call saying, man, why didn't you do this? Well, we didn't know. There's hundreds of these things. And we take them, as chronologically, but there could be several in front of you. And so if you'll let us know, we'll jump down and grab one that has an divorce file attached. Now again, that's only applicable as we approach executive board meetings. Any other time it's going to be okay because we got time. But if you know we're coming up on the May executive board meeting, March, or conference, and you've got a divorce file you need through, I do not mind you send me an email saying, hey, can we bump this one up in the queue and get it handled quickly because we'd like to get it on the agenda. We will work with that. Again, activity, yes sir.
I was just going to say, is there a way that when they check that box that there is a divorce, that it can also be marked on
our dashboard?
It is, on ours at least, it shows, it requires executive board review in red letters. So we try to catch them. I don't know if it does on your queue or not, but on ours it shows that.
It could just be an admin view.
It might just be in the administration view.
Would they want that?
And unless we have read,
Why don't you make a note to see? We have that as an admin feature, so let us see if we can get that for your view as well. That's a great, see, I didn't even know that didn't happen for you, so that's where this is so valuable for us. Thank you. We can see if we can get that done. Okay, please read the application activity notes carefully. They will tell you many times when Nyla returns an application because something is missing. Oh, let me make this request. If Nyla sends this application back saying, hey, we're missing a beneficiary form, okay? There's a perfect example. They didn't fill out an insurance beneficiary form. It is so much easier for us if you will just upload that form to the application instead of emailing it to us outside the system. Okay? Occasionally we'll have districts just send us email and they'll attach, this is a beneficiary form for so, and we got to go find that application, then we have to upload it. It is so much easier for us. If you would be good enough to go to that application, upload it, that file to it, and send us missing items that way. To get the application to presbyters to see, every district does this different. We knew this when we started. We couldn't create one pattern that worked for everybody, so we gave flexibility so you could. If you want a presbyter to see an application, open it, copy the link, send that link to the presbyter. And he can use that same link to view it just like you do. You can print it out, scan it in, and email it to them as a PDF if you want, but if you want to do it from within the system, just open it, copy the link, send them the link. Please understand this. If you do that, they can see any attachments that are in the application. So you know how when you go down the application, there's a link that says see educational file? If you send them the link for the application, they use that link. If they click on that, they'll see the educational file. But files they've uploaded outside the application itself that they filled out, that you uploaded, the presbyter won't see those. So only the links within the application will the presbyter be able to get to. We get many phone calls saying, I can't find the email with the link that you sent for the application. That email with the link is just a courtesy. It makes it easier to get where you need to go, but the approver or the district does not have to have the link. You can log in, look on your dashboard queue, and get to it that way. So you say, well, I got this email about so-and-so's application. I can't find that email. It's okay, just go to your dashboard. You'll find his application there. So the email is not required. Periodically, I would ask you to go through your dashboard or have your district admin do it and look for ones that are duplicate applications. The guy started it twice and this one needs to be deleted. Or it's been sitting there, he sent this to his pastor has it signed, it's been 6 months. Well, contact the pastor. Try to do some cleanup on your dashboard occasionally. We obviously can't do that. We got 800 of these things. So I would encourage you to go through your dashboard, look for things that either are hung up someplace, help move them along. You're going to know a lot more about these than we will. I'm just asking you every now and then go through your dashboard, clean them up. I want you to understand that pastors only see something if the application is waiting on them. Okay? So once they approve it, it goes away. They don't see it anymore either. So like if the pastor submitted it to your district and it's waiting on your district board to meet, that pastor can't go back in there and see it anymore. In the same way, he handed you a physical application, he didn't have it anymore. Okay? It's in his hands. Okay, here's another point that I want to be sure we're clear on. If a guy marks that he's been divorced since having received the Holy Ghost, it brings up a question that says, has this divorce been previously reviewed by the executive board? Guys don't always understand that, particularly if they're new to our organization. So what we will get is a brand new application. The guy's never been licensed, and he marks, yes, the executive board's already reviewed this. Well, no, they didn't. You've never had a license before. The problem is, now we'll catch that. The problem is, if they mark, yes, the executive board already reviewed this, they don't get all the links to upload the files. Because there's no reason for that. But if they mark it in error, if they in error mark, yes, it's been reviewed, and it never has, then they don't get all those links. We can still, after the fact, we come back and they can upload it in the confidential, you can upload it in confidential files, or they can upload it in other files. We can get around it, but just please help them understand that they should not mark yes unless that is actually, they're getting general license and it was reviewed when they were local license. Here's another thing you got to watch for. We have this occasionally. Guys upgrading to general license, and he says, yes, this has been reviewed because I already have a local license. We go back and look at their local license. They weren't divorced then. They've divorced and remarried since they had local license, never told you, never met your district board, never submitted anything. Now they're general license, and they say, oh yeah, I've already got a local license. That doesn't mean the file was reviewed. So that's another thing to kind of watch for. I would encourage you to become familiar with the status codes. This helps you a lot. On your dashboard, there's all those codes, and those codes all mean something, and they tell you what state it is in the application process. If, for instance, if it says details, that means the applicant's filled it out, but he hasn't paid yet. If it says pastor-I, that's pastor incomplete. That means the pastor sent it back to the applicant to fix something and the applicant hasn't done it. If it says UPCI CA-I, that's church administration incomplete. NILA sent it back to you because something wasn't done. Those codes will tell you the status that it's in. You say, well, I can't keep all those straight because there's 5,000 of them. You're right. Here's the answer. Right beside the status, there's a little magnifying glass, a Sherlock Holmes looking magnifying glass. Hover your mouse over that. A pop-up window comes up and tells you exactly what that status means. Also, in the training documents, we gave you a whole list of them that you can read what each one means. But the simple thing when you're using it, hover your mouse over that little spyglass and it will tell you what that code means. Again, please watch regularly for things returned from NILA. Here are probably the 3 biggest reasons she has to send them back. No insurance beneficiary form is probably first. The second thing is probably the 3 new videos they have to watch. And I know that was new, so when I was asking her what reasons do you have to send them back, this was on her list, but that's becoming standard now. But again, those 3 videos have to be watched. They're free. And the third thing is the applicant went to Bible college and did not attach that confidential Bible college report. Now, I know they can request it. If it doesn't come after 60 days, the manual says you can go without it. I get that. But more often than not, it's because they didn't request it. The reason that's important, the biggest thing we look at on that, your district board may look at it to see what kind of scoundrel they were in Bible school. However, several of us probably don't want them examining that about our lives. The biggest thing is, did they leave an indebtedness? Because the manual says we cannot license someone who leaves a debt at one of our Bible colleges. That's fixed. So we need that report to show they didn't leave any debt behind. And that has worked. We've had 2 or 3 situations where we were able to contact that Bible college. They worked out something where the guy paid them off, and that's what it's supposed to do. Yes, sir, you've been trying to get mine.
Just a question on a red flag. If an applicant, if there's a red flag and it's not doctrinal, I think the question was, do you give permission to review your finances?
We won't license them.
Well, it was a wrong check. I'm saying in the process, does he have to wait for the pastor to fix that particular question?
Can the district fix that?
The district can return it to the applicant.
The district can return it directly to the applicant to fix it.
Yeah.
Something like that, non-doctrinal.
Mm-hmm.
We can't.
Doctrinal has to go, do you understand why you?
It has to be fixed. The applicant has to fix that. We will not license somebody with one of those red flags on there.
You have to go to the pastor.
No, you can send it straight back to the applicant.
Okay.
And they can fix it and then send it back to you. So no, on a non-doctrinal thing like that, it bypasses, you can send it to them, they send it back to you. It doesn't go back through the pastor.
The pastor has to review it before the district can take an action.
Even the second time through?
The pastor has to approve it at least once.
Yes, but I'm saying if the district gets it and there's still some red flag and they send it back to the applicant, then it comes back to the district, right? Yeah.
It says applicant, but he's having an issue, it just won't let him fix that. Change it to yes, I do approve, give permission to look at my finances, so I'm just.
The applicant can't change it?
That's what he's telling me. So
I
said, well, I'll check and see if that's go through the pastor.
No,
Clicking the wrong link, right?
he should be able to get to that to fix it. If have him call us, we'll try to guide their, but no, what you've done is correct and he should be able to change that. So I think it's user error. He may be using the wrong link. Jill?
I think because you said you needed the confidential officer college board for the money, whether they owe, that's gonna answer some questions, but we do get phone calls sometimes that people say, they didn't graduate, they only went one semester, do we still need that form? Yes.
Yes, great point. Some people say, well, they were only there a semester, so do they even need a form? Yeah, because did they leave a debt? So no, if they attended school, not if they graduated school, if they attend one of our colleges, they have to submit that form. And your district might want to know too, why did they only attend half a semester?
Yeah.
Well, we caught them in a compromising situation. Well, you might want to know that. He was arrested for, drowning kittens in a mud puddle. Well, you might want to know that. So yes, we do require it if they attended school at all, not just if they graduated there. See, nobody told you all this when they elected you to this position. They did not tell you all the details. They did not. It's a million things. I know that. It's very arduous. It's very time consuming. You do a lot. We're doing what we can to streamline some of these things. I really hope all the digital stuff is advantageous to you. I know there's a learning curve, but I was talking to the superintendent this week. I think the great thing is you're at district conference and some guy tells you, we're shutting down this preaching point, or we're shutting down this daughter work. We're not going to continue anymore. Instead of having to remember, man, when I get home, I got to print that form out. I got to fill it out. I got to send it in. You can grab your phone right then and just boom, 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 and it's done and you submit it. So we're trying to make this as digitized as possible. I hope it's valuable for you. I really do. Yes, sir.
I'm asking, have we completed all of our business? And there's a very specific reason I'm asking.
Yes, yeah, business is done.
I got a text message from my district superintendent after we started at 9 o'clock. His son, Noah, was hit by a car on his bike. There don't appear to be any broken bones or any severe head injuries, but he is leaving now. And so I would appreciate if we could pray for Noah Brown before we leave.
Absolutely. We will absolutely do that. I'm done with my agenda. That's everything I've got. Is there any other questions? Anything else? Yes, sir.
I do have a question. So in our district, from the Iowa district, we meet our local licensed candidates 2 times, and I know that's not required and not every district does that. And maybe this is, so we have been making them fill out a paper application. We still have the old paper application so that our district board can see that they've completed the application. We're making them do that, and then we have them do a couple of other things, and then after we're done with that, after we've met them the first time, we continue with the process, then we're having them fill out the online application. Is there any way to make it to where they can fill out the first app, like the online application? Is there any way to kind of stretch that process out? And are there any other districts that do meet local license twice?
Stretch it out, I'm not sure.
It's, I can't remember why, and I just got elected in July, so
Yeah.
I don't remember why we don't have them completing the, I think it's because, to fill out the CAMA application, they have to submit all of their transcripts and everything. And they haven't necessarily done all of that. We're meeting them the first time just kind of as an introduction, but they can't complete that application, that local license application, because they haven't necessarily taken all of their Ministry Central classes. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, to me, I think if I were in your shoes, what I would do is just create my own little miniature form for them to fill out for that initial meeting.
We're kind of working.
Yeah, I just create my own thing with the key questions I wanted to know in that early pre-meeting, and then have them fill out the application once you.
Working on that. I'm sitting here and I go, well.
Yeah, I would create something on there because once they start the digital one, they've only got 30 days. That link works. Yeah, Jill.